Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do start, let's give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of things have happened. Izuku, he was already undergoing training to learn more about cursed energy, and after 3 months, he was finally able to complete the vow him and Sukuna have made. The deal with his ancestor was he kills 15 cursed spirits and comes back to see Sukuna. Deku killed grade 4s and grade 3s. He didn't go to grade 2 or 1 or special grade. And that was something that Sukuna he was curious about. Deku understood the terms of the contract, and he was smart and intelligent. Clearly, he was being helped. He could already sense the cursed spirits on the property, close to it, just outside of his range, just outside of his claws. And that was quite interesting to Sukuna. Someone was teaching his grandson something, and he was able to talk to Deku. Him and Deku made another binding vow, since Sukuna fulfilled his terms of the contract and gave Izuku power. He allowed Deku to swallow the Sukuna finger buried within his coffin, and they made a deal. And that was quite simple. The terms of the contract and what Deku would have to do for Sukuna, and what Sukuna would do for Deku. Deku, he was given power by the Sukuna finger he swallowed. And Sukuna, his agreement was simple. Izuku will find him a proper body, a proper vessel. Until then, him and Deku can share the same body and switch out. Deku will get access to some of his abilities, and he will teach him how to properly use them. Deku's cursed energy can expand from what Sukuna can teach him, make him a very powerful sorcerer. And Deku, all he'd have to do is find him a proper body. And that was the agreement. And Deku, he made this deal. And Sukuna, him and Deku then had to do one thing. Sukuna wanted to see Deku actually show he was serious about the agreement, serious about becoming like him. And Izuku, he butchered his entire family. Everybody at the shrine was killed. And Izuku, he even got to talk to his father. And his father got to meet his long dead ancestor, Sukuna. And it was definitely a very, very violent night for the family. And Izuku, he then went to the Yaoyorozu estate, where he was welcomed as a guest by Momo. And Momo, she was definitely quite intrigued, curious, surprised. Her midnight visitor came to her, and he was oh so beautiful and covered in blood. Now, Deku, he had a shower and he went to bed, and he slept. He slept better than he had ever slept in his life. And the next day, a lot began to happen. The Yaoyorozu estate rolled out the red carpet for him. Izuku had a king's breakfast and sat there, Mr. Yaoyorozu with a lot going through his mind. And there even was Deku. Deku, he sits in a bathrobe and eating breakfast. Right now him with a lot of scrambled eggs, sausage, and pancakes there, and even some maple syrup. And Izuku, he does sit there as there are many people at the table. Right now, Miss Yaoyorozu sitting there and staring at Deku. And Deku, he does actually something to look up. Her looking back down, as Deku, he does turn his head, expressing to Mr. Yaoyorozu that he has quite a lovely home, and that the place is certainly interesting. Though he does have to express, him holding his fork, that he does want to meet the followers of Sukuna. He does want to meet the people who do worship his ancestor, because they'll be quite intrigued to hear that Sukuna might be making a return. Deku going to bite the pancakes off of his fork. And this is where the man is going to turn, staring at Deku's hand, because his hand has... No, his nails are different. His attitude, it's a bit strange, but he's got those markings on his face. His nails are also painted black. And that does somewhat concern him. There's also Deku's eyes. They do appear to have changed in color, but he doesn't understand. Is that just because of... No, no, his eyes were dark before, but now they're red. Hmm. It is a bit strange. You're staring. I don't appreciate it. Apologies. Good. Now, I do have a lot of things to do. Though, I do have a few loose strings to clear up. My grandfather is still alive. Excuse me? Yes. Everybody at the temple who I took care of last night. My father, my brother, my little sister, my cousins, my aunts and uncles. All of them have been killed. And everybody I've known, well, they're gonna ask questions if I don't handle that. Listen, it's quite simple. If I don't show up, then things are going to get complicated. If I do, things are going to be weird and people will ask questions. Oh, where was the boy? Where was he whenever his family got butchered? Where was he whenever all this went down? Now, it's going to be quite simple. You are my alibi. All of you are. In fact, Momo, yes, I want you to listen. I'm going to stand up and put his hands onto the table, telling her she is his alibi. Make up a story if she does need to. Make it interesting. And after that, tell him. Tell him what it is, and then he's going to leave the manor and head home. To the place where it's oh so violent. He'll go there, put on the waterworks, and be seen as the miracle who got away. How's that? And then afterwards, he's going to address everybody. He'll probably be taken into custody, but hey, as long as he does talk to some government official, he's sure they'll put him somewhere. If not protective custody, then somewhere at the very least. He can talk to them and even maybe express to them where he wants to go. They want to keep him happy. They would want to do that. And Momo is a bit confused, since heading back to the shrine sounds like a bad idea. And Mr. Yuruzu would go to Express, telling Deku. He doesn't seem to have thought this plan fully through. Excuse me. You don't seem to have known what you're doing. If I am to interject, it does seem like you should stay hidden. I see your point, but I can't move around as freely as I want to if I stay hidden. If my face is out there and people know I'm alive, it gives me more leeway. The boy who escaped the massacre of his family. And more people would want to follow me, be behind me. Though my only problem is talking to the two curses outside. Curses? Yes. You can't see them because you don't have the same abilities as I do. But it's easy. Simple to understand. I'm going to go talk to them and see what I can do. Possibly get some training in and then head out. Momo, 15 minutes. 30, actually. Come up with a story. I'm going to stand up, grabbing his plate and going to walk away. And everyone does sit at the table. And Momo, she already does have a few ideas for what to say for an alibi. And many of them, they can be easily explained. Though, her mother and father being involved, yeah, that's going to be harder to write off. So, she's going to have to improvise on some of the stuff. Though, 30 minutes, that does give her plenty of time. Now, Momo, she does begin to think. And currently Izuku, he does get to head outside. Him gonna finish his breakfast and toss the plate over his shoulder. It gonna crash into the ground as Deku, he does a walk down the stairs. Currently, him gonna turn and see Mahito, who does it express that the boy has been busy. Yes, I have been. Though, after last night, I am feeling a lot better. Got that weird taste in my mouth. I'm sure you did. Though, I have noticeably sensed the increase. Yeah, it's quite apparent, isn't it? They're gonna bring his hand down, and gonna stare at his hands. The claws went away, though with just a little. They go bring his hand up, and right now his fingernails do go to elongate, as right now they do to turn into talons. And Deku, he does stare at that. Right now him gonna turn to Mahito, as Mahito does go to express that if he does want to practice, he could be, you know, a partner. Though Joko is going to be coming around soon. He is still looking into a few things. And he was getting a few things prepared. Oh? Yeah. He had the idea to go out and look for one of the other fingers. Though, I wanted to test a few things out. Check and see where you are and where I do compare. See whether or not you really are worthy of, well, your position. Really? So you want to try and kill me right now? Joko wouldn't appreciate that. And I could give a fuck less what Joko thinks. All I really know is I want to see whether or not you are strong. And whether or not I could get stronger. It has been quite boring these past few decades. And now that I'm no longer bound by that vow to watch your family, I have free time. And I don't know what to do with it. I'll have that dilemma later. Born of human hatred, so I'll hate myself for not thinking of something. Though, maybe go to the beach. See if they invented more ice cream? Maybe something. Do you have any ideas? My idea is to try and swipe at you, and see whether or not I can land the attack I've been trying to land on you. Yes, the Black Flash. Once you do land it, though, your entire worldview will change. You say that. He is correct, you know. That ability is quite powerful. Land a strike and pour your cursed energy into your fist within a microsecond. Hit your opponent and see what happens. It's a interesting phenomenon. Though, Izuku, once you experience it, your world will open up. They're wanting you to experience it yourself. You'll know what true power is. Your understanding will be different, and you'll be in a whole new league. Really? Yes. In fact, I remember mine. You always seem to remember your first Black Flash, your first kill, the first person you torture, decide to maim, or even just the first time you show mercy. You have shown mercy to people? No, Izuku. No, I do not. It's simple, however. The kindest act I can ever give is making somebody useful to me. Though, once that does end, that is where things do change. That is all up to you. What exactly do you think, though? Have you shown mercy? Are you talking to yourself or him? Deku turning his head, and waving off Mahito, as Mahito does it a frown and spin around. We're not going to walk away. And Deku, he does have a lot going through his head. Currently, him making his way to the forest outside of the estate. And Deku, after some time to pass, he does it ahead back into the city. Him being given a ride by Mr. and Mrs. Yairozu's chauffeur. And Izuku, he currently is going to pull back up to the temple. As the police, they're investigating a lot of things. And currently, let us cut back to the morning prior, or earlier that morning. Let's say give or take 2 hours. Now, somebody came to pay their respects, and what they found was very, very appalling. The temple, it smelled of fire. It smelled of a fire. Part of the house was burned, and much of it showed signs of an attack, though this does concern a lot of people. When the police arrived, they saw the bodies, 17 in total, from children to teenagers to adults. And this, it warranted a massive investigation to begin. And the head count, it started. You had the adults, like Hasashi and Inko. Hasashi was a Sukuna, along with his 2 other brothers and his younger sister. So that was 4 adults from the clan. That was 4 adults who were also their spouses, who lived at the temple. And then there were the children. There was Hashi, Mita, and then there were the children of the other 3 families. And this was very bad. All of these people were Sukuna clan. And the fact of the matter is, the detective who came to see it, he's only seen this type of butchering in serial murderers. To this extent, the tool that was used is certainly something. Though, there's also something that they're trying to figure out. There is a rumor going around on the property that monsters or even just ghosts exist. And from what they can tell, this could be a targeted assault made to look like something else. I mean, they'll have to call in the special people to investigate. Though this isn't their forte. But it certainly is something. Another man going to walk away. Him lighting a cigarette and turning. And he does get to see it. There are walls torn. There are 3 bodies laying there. One by the door and a slash covered in blood on their chest. There's also the fact is that the blood sprayed across the wall and covered it with stains of red. And that is a problem. That girl was a teenager, and then there's somebody laying out in the field. Them with a slash on their back. Whatever it is, they ran from it. They saw it. The adults are all downstairs. Their bodies are 3 of them, adults, male, male, and female. There's also a male in that room who had his head taken off. And that's not even the worst part. The man gonna look up. As he does, gonna turn and step away. And currently, he does see it. Right now, on the top of the house, there are 4 heads on spikes. And it's very grotesque. 3 of them show surprise, and 1 shows abject horror. So, he believes that they find out who may have suffered the most in this brutal massacre. And the man, he has a turn. Right now, him trying to think of a few things. Like, for one, why these people were targeted, other than their obvious relation to Sukuna. So, either this is some sort of personal attack, vendetta, or something is going on. Something that is above their pay grade. The detective, they do to make a phone call, trying to explain the situation. And currently it does begin to blow up all over Japan. And the followers of Sukuna, they are alarmed hearing about this. And details, they do begin to come out. 17 people were murdered. And it is yet unknown who may have caused the brutal massacre. And word, it does begin to go around. And there actually is Deku. who right now does get to pull up in a car. And it certainly is weird, because the moment Deku does actually climb out, he does get to look around. Him acting very confused. And the moment someone does to see him, they do just stare at him. A little confused, staring at the car. It's a limousine. But why is there a kid here? And Deku, he does a turn, looking at the police tape, and going to step forwards. And there actually is where paramedics, they are loading the bodies up into ambulances, seeing what they can do, and Deku does get to stare at a bag coming down. Him going to quickly move forwards and bolt under the police tape. Him running up the stairs and grabbing the arm of one of the paramedics. Him frantically trying to yell about what the hell's going on and what they're doing. Now, right now a police officer just gonna move in. Them restraining Deku and trying to understand why the hell a teen kid is here. But that's where a few things do begin to happen. Some of the people who crowd around to see it, to witness it, they are able to point it out. And one of the people, they just step forwards and yell about how they need to get their hands off of him. He is a Sukuna. And that does alarm the cop. Them letting go of Deku as they turn and bolt to the staircase. And the officer does a turn, mumbling under their breath about what they did, since that was reactionary. And Deku, when he's at a room upstairs, he does see it. Some of the carnage that's still there, and the mess. Now, detectives do a turn and see Deku, and people, they do begin to move in to try and restrain Deku, but he does make it look good. He breaks down. He allows the tears to come, and people, they do stare on. And officers, yeah, they're alarmed about what they're seeing. But Deku, while he does put on the show, the tears are real. He did love his family. They meant so much to him. The time he spent with his brother, the time he spent with his sister. He practically watched her grow. Though she won't grow up. She always had that attitude. Live fast, die young. At least he fulfilled her wish. And Izuku, he does it a breakdown. Him still crying and doing quite a lot. And Sukuna, he does applaud Deku's performance. Ajano Deku is taken away and they do want to ask him questions, since they do confirm his identity. There were supposed to be 18 people at this household. They only counted 17 bodies. And quickly running Deku's image, they were able to find him. Pictures and school records, along with even a government record. That is in the Sukuna file. And it does mean quite a lot. They confirmed his identity. And people, they quickly do good at least broadcast his story. A survivor. And Izuku, he does get taken in for not only questioning, but possibly because they do want to understand what may have happened. If his family had any enemies. And this, it does somewhat confuse Deku. No one would dare to try and harm his clan. No one would try to attack them. And he does try to express a lot. Even about how people, they don't threaten them, they don't do anything. They pay tribute, and that's it. The government provides for them, and they even, well, have a few things to do. It's simple. They were given a lavish life, and in return they live at the shrine. That's all he knows. His father did work, his uncle didn't. His aunt, she did go out a lot, and his other uncle, he wasn't too close to, but he knows he did have a bit of a gambling side. He doesn't know if he had any debts, though. And that offhanded comment, it does serve as something for the detectives. Since they'll look into that, at least. See what they can find there. And Deku, he does just won't sit there. Him going to express to them more. asking if there were any survivors, if there was anyone who was alive. And the police, they do obviously try and inform him very gently that sadly, they don't believe it was possible for anyone to survive. What they found was very graphic, and Izuku running in there and seeing some of it, he should understand. If he could, he would divulge certain information. But right now, this is a very important investigation. And in fact, he's going to make national headlines. And Izuku, he does understand. As written to the officer, they do try to figure out what to do with Deku. Deku, being 16, is of legal age. He can technically do what he wants. They can't give him a personal guardian, but they can't let him return home. They can't assign someone to him, but they could keep him in police custody until everything blows over. And right now that, it's all sort of up in the air. And there also is the fact that a lot of people want to speak to him in particular. But Deku, he also is even asked about his whereabouts, where he was during this quote-unquote massacre. And Deku, he would try to express to them that he was at his girlfriend's place. And he was, well, he snuck out. Him and her just got a little caught up with a few things, and, well, the night got a little crazy, and, well, you know, he ended up spending the night. And that does somewhat surprise the officer. Though it does somewhat make a bit of sense. Goes out to see a girl, sneaks out, and, well, good timing. He's a lucky kid. Though, I mean, he's kind of reckless. Then again, it did save the kid's life. On the officer, they do think back about some of the things they've done when they were young, stupid, and full of hormones like this kid probably is. And it does hit a bit of a soft spot. Though they do try to keep their professional streak up. As they do try to at least ask for information about the girl in question, and even about the address. And Deku, he was going to tell them about Momo Yaoyorozu and the Yaoyorozu family. And they do go to send a unit out there. At least something to get a statement from them. And Izuku, yeah. He does do a lot right now. Trying to think in his mind about what to do. And officers, they do keep Deku for some time. Though, after his alibi is confirmed, they do want to keep him in custody. Put him somewhere safe, and keep him away from whoever might have done this. And Deku, he does understand. But at the same time, there also is the Yaoyorozu family. After a bit of a show, there is where Mr. Yaoyorozu, he does offer to take Deku in and allow him to be set in a place in his home. It's simple. It allows him to keep an eye on the boy, and it also allows the boy to be safe somewhere hidden people would not know about. And after some back and forth, it does get past. Though Mr. Yaoyorozu, he did have to grease some pockets. And he also did at least find someone who he knows has some pull, since they do also follow the faith of the king. Now, it does help. Friends in high places. And he's not the only one. Now, Izuku, he is released into Mr. Yaoyorozu's custody. And the man, he does try to play up a bit of a show. Right now, him going to stand there as Moto's go running forwards. Her pulling him into a hug and going to give him a kiss. And Deku, he does it to hold on to her. Him putting on a show in front of people. And Mr. Yaoyorozu, when he does a step forwards, he does it to bring him his hand. Right now, him smacking Deku with something in his hand as he has a yell at the boy about what he may have done. Talking about how he may have ruined things for his daughter, and how he will have to take responsibility. And right now, everybody, they do to pack into the limo. And the moment the door is due to close, Mr. Yaoyorozu does immediately throw himself down to the ground, profusely apologizing, as Deku, he has to stand there, or actually sit, my bad, expressing that he did nothing wrong, and in fact he played his part perfectly. Then again, a bit more force next time. What? Yeah, make it look good. All I'm saying. I can take a bit of a beating. With my powers, I can claw through concrete. That is horrifying. Maybe, maybe. Though I still got a lot of things to do. Like address the followers. Yes, yes. I will set things up for you. If that is to your liking. Or would you rather set the preparations? Yes, yes. Good. Deku gonna turn and go to throw his feet up, as right now he does go something backwards. Sukuna and him going to discuss a few things, and Deku, when he does get back to the manor, he has a lot going through his head, and he also has to continue on with his training. Right now, him with a lot going through his mind, and Deku, he has to stand there. Right now, him bringing his hands up and going to lean forwards. Him throwing his hand backwards and slashing upwards into the tree. Right now, him going to slash into it and stare at the cut. As Deku, he does look at it. Him right now bringing his hands up and staring at it. Not bad. Almost like tiger claws. Though, he does need to put more cursed energy into that. What are you doing? I'm trying to do that microsecond thing. The same thing they've been trying to teach me with my fist. Interesting. Yeah. Not easy to do. Though, getting better at these claw techniques. I guess. Might have to make up a few. Though, it does make me question. Yes. How come you didn't think of more things? What do you mean? Tactics. From what I do understand, you were said to be very tactful. Yet, with your level of power, you didn't need that. You knew what to do and you just cut to the chase. Yes, I did. Things became boring after some time. Enjoy it while it lasts. Sure. Anyways. Deku bring his hand up and trying to just focus. Trying to think. I'm going to stare at the tree. And Izuku, he has to have his fist get covered in cursed energy. Before, it is going to flip his arm and then disappear. Deku opening his hand and pulling it back. As for Sukuna, he does it to focus. Staring through Deku's eyes. And seeing it. He must be able to do it. Once he does do it once, it will change. Everything will. He has to. And Deku, he's gonna throw his hand out. Right now, him gonna throw it out and smash into the tree. As Sukuna, he has a watch on. Deku, right now, him gonna pull back his knuckles and throw his left hand, smashing it outwards and trying to attack. And Sukuna does it to watch. Deku, he's trying to attempt the Black Flash, though it does also concern him. Right now, Deku's arms being covered in cursed energy as he's gonna throw them forwards, him uncovering them and gonna try and reactivate them. And Deku does a smash right into the tree again. Right now, the tree gonna fall over. And Deku, he has a look up at the tree, burrowing his hand out and grabbing on it with his claws, him leaping upwards and beginning to run on it. Right now, him going to do so and leap up into the air. As Deku, he is flying through and having the wind in his hair. Deku going to actually smash down as he smash his feet in the tree and then going to turn, leaning down and going to actually sing into it with his claws, jumping forwards and bringing his hand back. And Deku, he does go to do one thing. He's gonna pull his leg back and focus. As he's gonna throw it forwards, and then Sukuna, he does see it. Right now Deku gonna cleave straight through the tree. As his foot goes slashing through Izuku, he does this not sit there in the air for a second, his mind processing everything. As the tree, it was hit with a black flash. And Deku, he does actually something to smash onto the ground. And I'm gonna bring his hands up, and then gonna turn. Him already seeing that it has hit the ground. Oh wow. Amazing, isn't it? Holy shit. I don't. Nothing is. I. I get it. You do. Very good. Now, you have evolved, Suku. Remember that. The Black Flash is a very powerful technique. Mastering it is said to be impossible. Though, can you do the impossible? I want to. Good. Always remember that. That feeling. That is evolution. And what exactly are you? I'm the descendant of Sukuna. No, Zuku. What are you? The next king of Japan. Wrong again. What are you? I'm not human. Close. You will become a monster. You will be feared. You will be great. But that is only if you can conquer. If? Yes, Zuku. If you will face challenges and people will try to get into your way. Though I'm sure you'll want to see them try. Very much so. And right there actually is Momo, who does go walk into the forest and stare at Deku. And Deku, he does stare down at his clawed hands. Right now him grinning happily. And Momo does stare on. Her going to smile. As right now Deku, he does actually turn his head. Right now him going to stare at Momo as she does go to express that they're ready. And that many of them have arrived. Many of them? Yes, it is on short notice. Some people are not in Japan, and some, they won't be here until tomorrow, at the soonest, to see you. Though, they do all wish to acknowledge you. Give their acknowledgement. They've made that quite clear. And they're willing to send forward tributes. Interesting. Well then, why do I need to keep them waiting? Let's see who's here. Now, Momono's gonna hold something up. And Deku, he does stare down at the red cloak she holds out to him. Him bringing his hand up and grabbing it, throwing it over his shoulder and looking up, staring up at the moon and thinking about how things are. How much his life had changed within the last year, within just the last few months. He had no power, and now he has power. Being able to slice through people like butter, being able to learn more about this interesting ability, cursed energy, possessing it, having it, and the pact he's made with his ancestor. And Izuku, he does get a turn, looking at Momo as she goes to bow. Her turning and going to actually have Deku follow her, leading him back to the house. And Izuku, he does go to walk into the room. Right now, a lot of people are going to turn their heads and see him. The boy walks in with the red cloak. Right now, him with his hair moved backwards, and he doesn't bring his hands up. Right now, everyone going to fall to their knees, and some people, they do just stand there. Some raising their glasses to Sukuna. And someone, they do to look up. Currently, a girl staring at Deku as Deku, he does it to raise his hands. And the moment he does, his eyes do get open. And the moment that doesn't happen, Sukuna, he does take control. Him opening up his domain as everybody in the room, they do go to watch on. Everybody who raised a glass, they are immediately sliced in half. And all of them are a lot more alarmed. As Rhino Sukuna, he does then go to disappear. The moment he opened his domain, he attacked, and then he closed it. As Deku, he does sit there with one more man left alive. The man turning his head and seeing Deku sitting at the table. Deku bringing his hand out, as the man, he does go somewhat stare at Deku. His eyes wow with terror as he does go to hold out the wine glass. Deku bringing his hand out and grabbing it, before going to bring his leg up. Right now him gonna kick the man's head right off. As he does, gonna fold it over and look around the room. As his body is gonna fall backwards and his head is gonna smash onto a table. Right now Deku looking around the entire room. As the carnage, it is quite plain and able to be seen. And Deku would go to express. He doesn't believe he needs an introduction. Though, all of them were just in possession. Sorry. They were in the presence of his ancestor. He is in possession of his abilities. And, well, he's also here inside of his body. Though, if anyone would like to challenge him, he does want to express to them all. That should be proof enough. Now, he's got a few things he'd like to talk about, and a few things he'd like to mention. Whenever they are all in his presence, they should know to pay tribute, to actually make sure to know, never hold themselves higher than him. Though, he does have some questions about everybody in this room. He wants to know if anyone here knows where the other fingers of his ancestor are. Because they have been scattered all around Japan, possibly around the world. And if any of them can bring him a finger, they may be rewarded a little handsomely. Though he also is concerned about whether or not he'll be caught. To anyone in this room who does not want to be here now, after his latest display, please stand, and he will gladly execute them. And everyone, some of them do look around, and people, they are muttering to themselves. But everyone, they do stare on, because that boy is Izuku Ryomen. That boy really is a descendant of Sukuna. And fact of the matter is, they said that he is the quirkless son, the quirkless survivor. The news has made it quite apparent. This boy, it's a miracle he escaped the slaughter. But from what they can tell, he may have caused the slaughter. And Sukuna, he does get handed the reins. The man gonna turn and toss the glass over his shoulder as he does a look around. Him pointing at a girl and telling her to grab him the bottle and bring it to him. He does not like to repeat himself. The girl gonna turn, her climbing to her feet and gonna run over. Her grabbing both of the bottles you see on the table and walking over. Her setting one in Deku's hand as she does then gonna set one down next to him. And Deku, he has a turn. Him patting her on the cheek and talking about how she did good, because he didn't have to say to grab the other one. And the moment he has a stare at her, she says stare back. But now Deku bringing his hand up and moving some of the white hair out of her face. Going to talk about it. She may return back to her place. And she does go run back over. Going to fall back down next to a few other people. And it does make her heart somewhat skip a beat, since he actually acknowledged her. Though, it also does make her a bit scared. Being in the actual presence of, well, Lord Sukuna. And it does make her a bit excited. Everybody in this room are immediately on edge. And Deku, he does begin to give them orders. Him and Sukuna going to express what they need of everybody here. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.